Hi everyone, this is Jyotsna from Frontlist Media, and I hope everyone is doing well. So, welcome everyone to the Frontlist July month spotlight session. So, this month we will be doing spotlight session on the theme Moving to Sustainable Publishing Future. So, today we have Mr. Pranav sir and Hugo Setzer. Welcome. We are immensely glad to have you on board today as a panelist for this special spotlight session. So let's just start with the introduction. So I would like to introduce first Mr. Pranav Gupta. Mr. Pranav Gupta is the managing director of Prince Publication Private Limited. Presently, he is serving as the elected secretary general for IRRO and the joint secretary for the Federation of Indian Publishers. Pranav also holds the position of an elected executive committee member of the International Publisher Association, its IPA. Prints publication by Books India, Advik Toys, OM Logic, Frontlist Media, Pragati E, and Soul Wellness are the companies which he represents. His well-rounded industry exposure and experience have led to Pranav being a frequent speaker at national and international events. In addition, his essays have appeared in various newspaper, journals, and publications. I must say, Pranav, sir, your profile is very amazing, and we are immensely honored to have you today
Thank you
for
so
this
much,
special
Jyotsna,
time.
and I'm delighted to be the part of today's spotlight session at Frontlist Media.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Mr. Hugo Setzer. First of all, welcome. Hugo Setzer, since 1990, is the CEO of Manuel Moderno, which is a leading publishing house in the fields of medicine psychology. He has been associated with the Mexican Publishers Association since 1995, and currently he is the president of the association. Another feather to his hat is his association with the renowned IPA since 2004, where he led the association as a vice president term 2017 till 2018 and president term 2019 till 2020. Okay. So Mr. Setzer is currently the vice chair of WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organizations, Accessible Books Consortium Advisory Board. Lastly, his profile also showcases his experience as executive board of the International Association of Scientific, Technical, and Medical Publishers, STM, from 1998 to 2004. So it's an honor for us to that you have joined today, Mr. Hugo, sir. Welcome, and it's a very privilege for Frontlist Media to have you, both of you, for this particular spotlight session. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much. So the theme for this month's spotlight session is moving to sustainable publishing world, which is very important that we should talk about. And since it's a very different from a previous spotlight session, so I'm hoping that I'm also gonna get a very good insights from this session. Yeah. So let's just start with the question answer round. First question: how do you elaborate on sustainability in terms of the publishing industry? I would like to start with Mr. Hugo sir first.
Thank you. I think I really like the theme of today's chat. I mean, I think it's very important that the International Publishers Association, we have been working on that for a couple of years, and now we will be able, and Pranav, my friend Pranav, and I will be able to talk a little bit about that and the work that is being done in the international publishing community. So in terms of sustainability, I think very often sustainability is viewed just like something to do with the environment, and it has so much more to do. And I mean, you can see it when you see the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and in that sense, we have taken very important steps in order to promote these 17 goals, Sustainable Development Goals, by the launch 2 years ago, together with United Nations and the International Publishers Association, of the SDG Publishers Compact. So this is a document where publishers can commit to achieving and to making progress to the achievement of those 17 goals, where there are a lot of things where we can do to be aware, first of all, and to collaborate and to talk to people, to look for content which talks about that. So there are many actions, and there are publishers from all over the world can join. I mean, there are publishers all over the world. Over 100 publishers have signed the compact. Publishers in Mexico, publishers in India. There are several publishers in India who have signed already as well. And yeah, all over the world. So that's, I think, a very important step towards sustainability.
Thank you, Hugo, sir. So, Pranav Gupta, what's your take on this? What do you think about the sustainability in terms of publishing industry?
So see, the sustainable development goals, the SDGs, what we call in a short form, these are like a set of 17 ambitious goals that provide a framework to help the world achieve a more sustainable and a equitable future by 2030. These goals are the result of a process of consultation involving all parts of society and lay an important plan for the 193 UN member states to end extreme poverty, to fight inequality and injustice. To achieve these goals, it will take an unprecedented effort by all parts of our society, and the publishing industry has a very crucial role to play in this. We can ask ourselves a question that who can provide us with the right resources to attain the quality education. And to attain the quality education, it is the publishing industry. Before the digital revolution stepped in or was even introduced to the world, individuals had a habit of consuming educational content through hard copies or through books, journals, and periodicals. Hence, the publishing industry has been at a very much command ever since.
Thank you, Pranav, sir. So since we are talking about sustainability, sustainability represents economical development, society development. So my question is from Hugo, sir. My next question. We always relate sustainability with the context of the environment, right? Like Pranav sir said, it involves physical book copies, right? However, the publishing industry is non-existent without paper. So what's your take on this, Hugo, sir?
It's a very interesting question, because I think many people think of publishing as intensive use of paper, which, well, of course it is. But many people relate it to and mention sometimes, and I've received comments saying, well, you're destroying our forests and you should be more sustainable and so on. And it's very interesting. I've been talking to people from the paper industry, and most of the paper being produced nowadays is produced from sustainable forests. So it's not that the paper is being produced by some illegal taking down forests or trees or whatever. I mean, it's really most of it produced by sustainable forests. And the other thing which is also interesting is that it usually takes a huge amount of water to produce paper, but technology has allowed for paper mills to use every day less and less water in the process of producing paper. So that's also a very interesting development. So the paper industry is also very conscious about sustainability, about the environment. And so in that sense, I'm confident that we can still continue to provide our content in every format which is required by the market, and may it be paper or ebook or audiobook or whatever.
Thank you, Hugo, sir. So, Mr. Pranav Gupta, would you like to add something?
Well, I just want to add here that I think we will as industry, we will survive with and without paper, because paper has been a tool for us since ages. and but our power and expertise lies in content management, development of manuscripts, its distribution. So we will definitely go digital and will be still be one of the highest contributors to our national and international economies for that.
Okay, thank you so much. So, in your previous answer, you talked about that publishing industry plays a crucial role when it comes to education, right? So, my question is here: what is the publishing industry's role in achieving quality education? So, Mr. Pranav Gupta.
So if we talk about out of all the SDGs, the 17 SDGs, I believe SDG 4, which talks about the quality education. And I believe and we have observed that our industry as publishing industry plays a very critical role in the education sector and the sustainable development goals. And to achieve the latter, it will be an unprecedented effort by all the society, and the publishing industry surely has a crucial role to play. One goal which truly acts as a base for achieving the rest is the quality education. And what do we all understand by quality education? I would say the education is imparted by a system that is inclusive, value based, authentic, accessible, and holds a healthy student teacher relationship where the student attains maximum benefit and develops as a fully functional, healthy human being who is fit to operate with the dynamic economies and ever changing societies. To answer your question, the publishing industry has the power to strategically curate quality content imparted to children across the globe through important tools like books, journals, magazines, and many more. So, quality education is one where publishing industry plays a very critical role. I would say publishing industry is like a lifeline to the education system across the globe, and there are many ways. So one way is that the publishing industry directly curates the content for the education sector, also to inculcate the awareness about the other SDGs, whether it is about poverty or inequality or everything. There is a lot of indirect contribution of the publishing industry where we create and curate the appropriate content which can be imparted to the children at the right age, so that the objectives of these SDGs can be inculcated right at the primary and the secondary education level, and these young children can help us to attain the SDGs which has been chartered by the United Nations.
Thank you so much, Pranav sir. It was a well put answer. And so moving on to Mr. Hugo sir. So since publishing industry is a custodian of education sector, right? And Pranav sir talk about equality and poverty and quality of educations are the sustainable development goals. So since quality education is a goal for of the sustainable development goals, SDGs, and the publisher significantly impact it since they provide tools to deliver effective learning. How can we together achieve a better quality of education?
Thank you. I also think it's an interesting question, and in the last question, I agree with everything Pranav mentioned, because I also think that quality education is kind of a detonator of many other of the development goals. I mean, we can have better, we can probably have less poverty, better gender equality, a better economy. Let me see what other goals we have here. There are many goals impacted. I mean, in the sense that more children, boys and girls, and especially, for example, in many countries where girls are still not attending school, if all those girls can attend school, and there are several studies that show how that impacts on many levels, on the economy and on many different levels. But and back to your question, I think there are many ways in which we can contribute to that quality education. I mean, I cannot imagine how teachers could deliver this quality education without the materials, the textbooks, and the electronic materials we provide. And I think the best solution for that, and I also agree with Pranav that we're moving to digital. However, many studies also show that for education, a blended content is better. I mean, partially printed and partially digital. And there are, I think, in this case, three main, so to say, cornerstones for quality education, which is, first of all, choice. Teachers and schools should have the choice to from a range of products and formats and resources. And so that's one of the important things that the publishing industry provides all over the world. Another thing is that educational solutions should be local. Something that works in Mexico perhaps won't work in India or the other way around. I mean, it's very important that the local publishers work on local solutions for education. And the third one is, of course, collaboration. I mean, between publishers, we are always eager to collaborate with local governments, with teachers, with researchers and authors to produce the best educational materials. And I think you can see that in so many countries, how we are collaborating with the whole educational sector to produce fine educational materials for this quality education.
Thank you, Hugo, sir. And I can feel that publishing industry is doing very good to enhance the education sector. So my next question, since you talk about digitalization and innovation, so, digitalization has given us very beautiful gifts like technology and artificial intelligence. So how has technology and artificial intelligence assisted the publishing industry in accelerating its expansion? Hugo, sir.
It's also interesting because, well, I've been reflecting about the publishing industry in the past 25 years, and it's amazing how it has developed, how publishers all over the world have embraced technology, and it helps not only, and some people see it in the end product, for example, that we have now more digital books and audiobooks and so on being produced with the help of technology. But there's also a lot of technology in the process of producing books. When we think of how we made books 25 years ago, we can't, well, sometimes I can't believe we did that in that way 25 years ago, when today there's so much technology to help us producing those books. And one other thing that technology is allowing us now is also, if I may add, to produce books, and especially ebooks, in accessible formats for visually impaired people, which is also very important to us, to make sure that no one is left behind, that people with a visual impairment can also have access to all that information. So that's why we are also recommending to all publishers all around the world that we produce our ebooks in accessible formats.
Thank you so much, Hugo, sir. So, Mr. Pranav Gupta, would you like to add something?
I think so. Hugo has covered all the major points related to this question. But if I see, just to add a bit, the technology, whether we talk about artificial intelligence, is now available in the hands of every individual and is also fully functional in domestic and professional infrastructures.
Okay.
Yeah, artificial intelligence was successful in enabling the students to learn and gain quality education even during the time of the pandemic. It was successful in providing inclusive, equal, accessible, and value-based education to billions of children across the globe. While we as publishers wanted to contribute our bit during the unfortunate pandemic, and after a certain point, we could not reach the students. And here where the technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning helped us in making the knowledge reach every screen, irrespective of if we faced any profits or losses as a business. Publishers wanted to help and they surely did. And I would say they did a fantastic job during the 2 years lockdown globally to provide the content and ensured that the continuity of the education for the students at large was on. And AI was a perfect facilitator in this noble cause for us.
Thank you, Pranav, sir. And I'm hoping that with the advent of new innovation, we will take a publishing industry as well as education sector on another level together. And we need harmony for this. So my next question: the pandemic has badly impacted the remote areas of society. As a custodian of the publishing world, what approaches should we apply to the growth of education? So first with Pranav, sir.
So, Josna, we need to see the pandemic now drastically shifted the landscape, forcing the educators to rely on technology for virtual learning. It was said that the 86% of the educators now say technology should be a core part of the education. While AI powered solutions have been in the edtech space for some time, the industry has been slow to adopt them. AI has the power to optimize both learning and teaching and helping the education sector evolve to better benefit students and teachers alike. The benefits for AI for students are personalization, tutoring, quick responses, and universal 24 into 7 access to learning. And for educators also, it is a unique opportunity it brings again is for the personalization, answering questions, and the automation of tasks. Because educators go through, if we see their roles and responsibilities, they are quite occupied with, they need to be multitasking on various aspects, and where AI really plays a very critical role. And both publishing industry, and I would here like to add, because in my recent experiences I have seen a lot of publishing industry has been investing a lot in the technology space, and a lot of tech companies have been investing to acquire content and trying to become a publisher or a, in a coming trying to enter the tech space. So the both publishing industry and tech giants, the tech companies, needs to join hands for bringing a bigger and better solution for society at large, where the publishers focus on bringing quality content and the tech giants focus on developing tools and technologies with which the content can be disseminated to the public at large. What I currently observe, and this is a big problem, that publishers invest, as I said, a lot of time in developing edtech solutions, and on the other hand, tech giants are trying to become educational leaders and publishers. So both these industries need to fall back to their roots and execute what they specialize in, thus benefiting the society, the students, the educators, and the economy at large. I would conclude that success is best when it is shared.
It was amazing. It was very good answer, Mr. Pranav, sir. So, Mr. Hugo, sir, since he has already, discussed a lot, do you have something to add?
Perhaps just to mention, and I really like that last phrase you used, Pranav, that the success is best when it is shared. So I really like that. But just to add that, I think the response of publishers all around the world, and we were able to see that from the IPA, receiving reports from all over the world, how publishers were responding in times of the pandemic, that for everyone it was a new environment. No one was really prepared for that. So a lot of publishers had a very quick response in order to produce or to make available certain contents for students. And so the response was awesome. However, when you see the studies now emerging, you can see that in most of the world, students really had a backdrop in their studying efforts. They, for example, there's an interesting study, and I don't have the figures with me right now, that especially in developing countries, 10-year-old students are a higher percentage of students than before the pandemic don't understand what they're reading. And the problem is, I mean, no one was prepared. Even teachers were not prepared, and how to make their classes online and so on. And even so, the thing I wanted to mention is that things could have been worse. I mean, the problem for education could have been much worse if we hadn't worked together, publishers with teachers, and providing all the solutions we provided to the classroom. So now we really have a challenge in many parts of the world, especially also in developing countries, to level up again. That was lost during the pandemic, but it can be only through collaboration with publishers, teachers, authors, and authorities.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hugo, sir. So we all know that international and national bodies, publishing bodies, have been working towards achieving, good education level and also establishing solidarity between them, bridging the gap between the national and international bodies, and enhancing the education levels on a sustainable level. So my question is, how are international and national organizations working together to develop the right content for future generations, as the publishing industry is the foundation for creating sustainable education? So, Mr. Hugo, sir, your views.
Well, one of the things is, for example, within IPA, we have the Educational Publishers Forum, where educational publishers come together from all over the world to share best practices, to discuss how to bring the best materials to students all over the world. So that's a very important a collaboration tool between different publishers all over the world. So that's one thing in education. But then there's another thing, which is, well, it has to do with education, but I was anyway would like to mention it because it has to do with sustainability, and that is a very important project that IPA launched several years ago, and that has been also now implemented in many other countries, which is the SDG book club. So we have, together with the United Nations, we have a list for every one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We have identified a series of books for children in between ages, I think, 5 and 15 or something like that. So there's a series of books we have identified in the 6 official languages of United Nations that talk about each and every one of the Sustainable Development Goals. And many countries have taken on this project, and now there is a Sustainable Development Book Club in Norwegian and in Dutch, and there is one chapter in Africa where they're also recommending books in local languages, in Swahili and some other local languages. So it's really great to see that children in all over the world can learn about the Sustainable Development Goals in their own language. So that's a very nice project as well. I wanted to share.
Yeah, I can see that publishing industry doing very, great job across the globe promoting the education and developing the right content. But Mr. Pranav Gupta, I would like to know your thoughts on this.
So both, so as Hugo mentioned, that IPA has been carrying a lot of activities through Educational Publishing Forum and the SDG Book Club. So there are many associations who have been exchanging the thoughts, the ideas, the various innovations which were, innovated during the time of pandemic. So there is a lot of exchange of ideas, content, and the tools and a mechanism which through the publishing industry has been contributing to the education sector. So that is one, like with IPA, there are almost 70 to 80 countries who are directly members, and these publishing associations, they try to contribute with the exchange of ideas we do. And so I believe both organizations at national and international level, all of them are doing their bit of job in terms of imparting the quality education at a large. Because publishers, we feel that we are the lifeline of the education sector. We are the industry who basically curates the content, and the content can be disseminated in various formats, whether it's a physical book or an e-book or an audio book or a visual based learning. And publishing sector has been at the forefront of embracing the technology, and I would say we are one of the key drivers to the change and the growth of various economies. And publishing sector has a really a very critical role to achieve the 17 SDGs laid down by the United Nations Charter. And we and industry will continue to do the same. If you see, even during the lockdown, according to the United Nations, 265 million children were currently out of the school. 22% of them were of the primary school age. Basic literacy skills have improved tremendously, but yet the bolder efforts are needed to make even greater strides for achieving universal education goals. For example, the world has achieved equality in primary education between girls and boys, but few countries have achieved that target at all levels of education. So, as publishers, education is simply part of the collective contribution to the society across all the sectors of the industry. Education is core to educational publishers who aim to provide trusted learning resources that niches need to best implement in their local curriculums. And trade publishers will have a different stories and perspectives for children and adults alike to learn more about our society and environment. So therefore, a hybrid model with the appropriate solution, embracing technology which uses conventional learning styles and modern AI technologies to educate our children and develop them 200% to achieve and maintain a sustainable planet situation. To achieve sustainable development and these goals, I would say we need a quality education and make sure it is offered to every human being.
Thank you so much, Pranav sir. And I'm very glad to have, Hugo sir and Pranav sir today for this session. And I must say that it was very engaging session for me. And I'm hoping that through this, conversation, people will learn that how is it publishing industry is working towards, achieving the sustainable publishing future and how they're enhancing the education sector. So thank you so much, everyone, for today. Yeah.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Absolutely pleasure, and always great to share the screen with my dear friend Hugo all the way from Mexico. I must, considering the different time zone, Hugo, I would personally like to thank you for taking time out for today's session.
It was a pleasure, Pranav, and likewise, it's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. And many thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, Hugo sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Thank you very much.